All right, beautiful evening, December 30th, 2025. This is our official Skating Academy members only live call. I'm Champ Bobbitt. This is Steve Bayonne. This one is going to be a little special because this is the final and last members only for 2025. We're going to walk you guys through chapter three. Steve's going to spearhead that, and then we're going to kind of prepare you guys for what to expect and how to walk into 2026 intentional and in your power. All right, so strap in. Steve, my brother, how you feeling?
I caught a little congestion the other day, but I'll save that for health and wellness. It was something that I've been doing with my eye that created some blockage to be released. So if I sound a little you know,
Nice.
that's from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. It's health and wellness time.
Yeah, coming into the new year with clarity. Um all right, yeah, I'm ready to go. So you have the link to the book for them?
Which one? This one we going over tonight or the
Yeah.
other one?
No, this one, chapter
Yeah,
3.
I got you.
I
I
don't
got
want to
you.
assume everybody has it. So guys,
I
we've
got
been
you.
breaking down this book for the past couple weeks. I've been going chapter by chapter. At the top of the year, we're going to have a course inside of the academy. I don't know which pillar we're going to put it in. We're cleaning some stuff up, but it's going to be the digital sovereignty course. So this is going to be the start of moving into that. That's our focus for this year, right? So if you're in cryptocurrency, just keep taking the courses as as planned. And digital sovereignty is what we're going to lead with. So we're going to start to give you guys like actionable steps. And we're going to start with Proton first, and then I have my security guy coming on. He's going to talk to us about updating your home network and all sorts of things. All right. Now, this book has been eye opening, and I've been taking my time with it. Right. So what I'm going to do is this book is actually going to be in the digital sovereignty as a course, and you're going to have every breakdown of every chapter. It's just me kind of synthesizing what was going on in the book, and then I'm giving you some connection points, maybe some things you might be thinking about, but maybe some things that you're not thinking about. So I'm always going to make correlations between where the book was at in 99, where they were at in the time in history that they were talking about, and how it kind of relates to where we're at. So 3 is kind of the doozy for me. 2 is just all about violence. 3 is like really all about violence, guys. And I'm not saying that's where we need to take it, but I think once you get the context, you'll start to understand where we're going with the academy, and that's what we're on for 2026. Is just I don't think we have much time left to to just get the house in order, right? And then when I break down what we need to do, you'll kind of see that we've already been on this journey. If you've been with us for 4 years, you know we've been building up to this point. If you just joined this year, trust me, it'll be easy to catch up with. And a lot of the stuff you see and hear are happening in a new cycle now. You just may not be conditioned to like pick things up. Um, but I'll connect the dots well for you. So chapter 3 was called East of Eden, the agriculture revolution and the sophistication of violence. All right. So the book is called The Sovereign Individual. So Champ is going to drop it both on YouTube and on here. If you don't have it, get it. You can get the audio book. It's just a good read at this point. There's a lot of gems in it. And again, these guys wrote it in '99, and everything is happening to the T. Right. So in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you came from. And Champ and I don't have crystal balls. We just kind of study history and patterns, and we follow the money, and it'll lead you right to the truth. So all right. So I want to start it with what did humanity gain and what did it lose when we chose agriculture? For those of you who don't know, agriculture was actually the first power structure before government, right? So when you start to understand this, you'll start to understand when I use words like agriculture or um, structural or whatever, blockchain, you name it. These are just new technology that plays into a backbone of where we're headed, right? You'll start to understand infrastructure would be considered the new agriculture, right? So, what did humanity gain and what did it lose when we chose agriculture, right? So, to you, agriculture would be what, champ? If you had to guess, or your opinion on what?
So I would go with food, crops,
That's it.
all things.
That's it. The basic need, right?
Yep.
All right. So, this chapter challenged one of the biggest myths that we were taught, that agriculture was pure progress. That's what it did, right? in 2026, guys, and beyond, you're gonna have to start questioning a lot more things, right? You just can't take things for face value. I don't care what side of the aisle you on. You got to look at both, and then you got to one build a community and just hear different sides and different perspectives. All right. So agriculture created civilization. Okay. But along the way, it also created coercion, hierarchy, and control. So progress always comes with a price. All right. Understand that. Please take notes, guys. This will be up on the thing, but if you take notes tonight, this will work. Believe it's gonna be a lot. So they talked about life before agriculture, right? What did we have? We had hunters and gatherers. We worked less hours. We ate more diverse diets, right? We had more personal freedom, and then we lived in small and flexible groups. This is what was happening before agriculture. All right. Now, here's a key point. Early humans weren't poor, they were just uncontrolled. Nobody put a price tag on shit. I'm just telling you that these guys built a system that has us like thinking that we're behind, and that's what's messing us up right now. So just take it back a little bit. Again, one more time. Early humans weren't poor, they were just uncontrolled. All right? So when you look at violence, when we talked about chapter 2, violence was what? Personal, limited, and hard to scale at that time. So there was no permanent ruling class at that point. All right? And I'll connect more dots on that. So agriculture was a trade-off, not so much a blessing to me. Okay. So it didn't make it just it made people more manageable. Now understand what agriculture introduced when Champ talked about food and crops, he was right. But then here's the thing: it also created what? Fixed land. It created stored like surplus, predictable labor, measurable output, and then it made people what? Easier to tax, easier to control, and easier to dominate. Okay.
True.
Understand. So we're going to apply the same thing to crypto and AI. All right. So the word surplus is important because surplus changed the meaning of violence. When there's nothing to take, there's nothing to take. Right now, you start having people grow, the greed starts to kick in a little bit. And this is where we create surplus. So once surplus exists, theft became profitable because you could resell it, right? Control became permanent and violence became strategic now. All right. So one of the key shifts in this chapter was violence moved from survival to extraction. All right. So those who control land control food, labor, and life's outcome. This is where the term landlord comes into play. Understand, there still is a fight for land today. All right. We're in times of expansion. So if you're watching the news cycle today, you're seeing it seems like everybody's warring with each other. This is what we talked about. This is where it's going to go. Every single body and country is going to set it off on each other because this is the last grab before the new system is in place. And it's all about we're moving from a debt based society to an asset based. So that means you have to control as much assets in the world to be able to tie your currency to assets. And in order to do so, you create problems within the world. BRICS Nation kind of threw a little monkey wrench in it because now they're starting to, kind of form their own alliance and they're starting to de-dollarize and they're dropping the treasury. So now the United States has to pretty much step up its game. So we already know Nigeria. We knew about this morning Venezuela, right, with the first land attack. You have China and Taiwan. You have Ukraine and Russia. Russia's about to turn it up on them. You have China and Russia sending military supplies to Venezuela. You have possibly Colombia in the mix. You have Cambodia and Thailand, right? India has its own thing going on too. I said China and Taiwan, so just the whole world at this point. Iran is basically Israel, Europe, and the United States against Iran at this point. They've already called for it's a war happening. All right. So what I need you to do is once they set it off, you just have to stay focused, right? Because that's where they want all the attention going. Whether the shit is real or not, I've never been in a war zone before. I'm not going to validate it and I'm not going to invalidate it. I'm just telling you that we got to keep our nose in focus. All right. So the people who control food, labor, and life's outcomes, those were the landowners. All right. So then you had the birth of right after that, you had the birth of the hierarchy and class. This is the caste system that we have in the world today. It's starting to be created and formed. So agriculture didn't just grow food, it grew classes. Okay? There's power in food, there's power in the seeds. So what happened? We had a new social layer that was formed. It was rulers, warriors, priests, and laborers. So hierarchy wasn't cultural, it was economic and it was violent. All right? Now, those at the top specialize in control and not production. So me and you might have been farmers, but we don't have the know-how to create the nonsense. And this is what they're still doing today. Once you're a laborer, you kind of give most of your glory days and hours to somebody else in the system. And then you tie it to whatever life or cost of living you have. And you don't really have much time to do anything else. Okay. The pandemic taught us for the first time the world got to sit down for a little bit and we started to see, and that changed the way that we do business and everything still to this day. And I'll tie in something with that. So then we had sophistication of violence. This was like the core theme of the chapter. Violence became more sophisticated as societies became more productive. All right. So violence evolved into organized armies, legal punishment, forced labor, and institutional control. Okay. So the most productive of society became the most refined. Okay. It's all coercion at this point now, guys. This is when they started to put the stuff in play. This is how governments are formed. All right. So religion, law, and morality as control layers. Are they still doing this shit now? That's it. Religion is just war. I don't care what you say. My belief. Early belief systems were reinforced obedience, um, morality justified inequality, and it wasn't framed as evil, guys. It was framed as necessary for order. So ideology followed power, not the other way around. Power should follow ideology. So if I put you under duress right now, champ, I could make you believe anything in that moment.
Facts.
If you can't protect yourself,
Facts. You
whatever it
subdue.
takes for you to live or survive,
Yeah.
right? Day to day. Okay. So this doesn't just apply to crops, guys. Use when you hear agriculture, think about your job right now, right? Because I don't want y'all to get lost. Think about your job, the time that you give to somebody else. If you own your own business, cool. I'm still giving time to somebody else anyway. But just think about the way that you create your living. That's where the controls are in place. So why were most people why was it worse off now that you have this, right? So civilization improved output, but not the individual well-being. So just because you're busy doesn't mean you're really doing much that matters. Okay. You had these effects on the average person now. Longer work hours, worse nutrition, less freedom, more exposure to violence, and progress benefited the system and not the individuals. Does that sound like something we in today? This is early times, guys. It matches. So then you had this population growth as a control mechanism. All right. So agriculture supported larger populations. Now you could feed more people. You needed more people to work, right? You wanted to have children so they can kind of work on the farm and just keep the train going. Then you had larger populations increase dependency now. Okay. Dependency reduced individual leverage. So population growth straightened it. When population grows, it strengthens the rulers, not the workers. Scarcity became a tool. All right. Now, the East of Eden inside the book isn't just geography, right? It was psychology. Remember, I told you one of the biggest things that you can go, if you have kids about to go to school, psychology, philosophy, the study of human behavior is key for the future. You're not going to be rewarded by paychecks, right? The smarts, the intelligence, the human intelligence. Think about it. If you give up your, and I posted this from that eggs and grits guy. He says, listen, if you let a machine take over your ability to think, what do you have at that point now?
Nothing.
A machine that you have no ownership over. This is the next ruling class. So humans traded freedom for security. We do it all the time. All right. When you look at Latin America, you look at all these countries, even in South America, that had so much crime. What they did was they realized that if you let the crime get so bad, eventually the citizens would give up their civil liberties just for you to just lock people up. It didn't matter if they were innocent or guilty. You see what Trump is doing now? They're telling you that there's these drugs coming to the country and there's this issue and then we have to go here. It works every single time on the masses. Every single time it works. Okay. Um, so you also traded autonomy for stability and mobility for predictability. All right. So once you're land bound, you become exits become more difficult. Back in the days, these guys were roaming thousands of acres. There were no lines. There were no who has ownership over what. It was just people just living, just being. Right. So once you put the boundaries in, now the rules are set. So now you have this. This is a connection point to go back to chapter 2. And I don't want to really jump ahead, but chapter 2 showed us how power follows violence. Chapter 3 shows us who paid the price, right? So agriculture made violence scalable, it made hierarchies permanent, and it made control systemic, right? So this set the foundation for every political structure moving forward has been set on this basis. That's it, guys. The power and the information is in the history. They're not doing anything new right now. They've trained us systematically to follow the same rules and bylaws. You have no idea why you had to go to public school. You had no idea why they said you had to get higher education in order to get. You have no idea how that system was set up. We never even questioned how it was set up or why it was set up. Same thing, growing up Catholic. I had no idea why we were Catholic, why we chose that. Why do you believe in that? You send me to church, I go out the back door. I come back by the time you pick me up. That's how I grew up. I know, I tell you no lie. So maybe I knew something early on. Now, civilization didn't begin with freedom, it began with control. All right. So that word freedom always kind of rings a bell, right? Everybody thinks this is what it is. All right, cool. So if systems were built to manage agricultural societies, what happens when societies change again? Do they use the same playbook? Because we have changed since agriculture. They're actually getting rid of food to bring in tech food. That's a system that's changing. Okay. So here's where I want to make the connection point with where we're at today. All right. Chapter 3 showed us some things that were important to think about. Control didn't start with governments, it started with agriculture. Okay. Understand. The moment humans settled, right? The moment you just found even footing and you stopped moving, land became fixed, labor became predictable, food became storable, and people became trackable. Did we just consent? Were we consenting back in the days too? Now we press a button and we consent. How convenient is it for them now? There was no mode of communication back then, guys. Nobody was calling you up. Like this thing was being formed.
Mhm.
Jesus. So that's when the ruler appeared, when all this stuff started to happen. So before that, humans were what? Mobile. They could leave, they could adapt, and they couldn't be boxed in. You didn't know where anybody was at,
Mhm.
right? There was no tax structure set up. There was no um, registry for land, like nothing. So now they're putting the rules in place. So look at what we consented to. Does that sound familiar today? So, what was the real function of agriculture then? It didn't just grow food like Champ said in the beginning. It created borders, ownership, taxation, hierarchy, and dependence. So once
Yep.
people depended on land, rulers could say, what? Stay here, work this, give me that portion, obey or starve.
Yep.
And that's how control works. So now let me draw the first parallel to today in this one. All right. And this is going to be quick, guys, because I want you guys to really sit with this over the New Year's. So what's happening today looks a lot like the reverse of agriculture. So what are we watching right now? The work detached from land, right? Income detached from location, skills detached from what? Institutions, and value detached from physical space. So just like the early humans before agriculture, people are becoming mobile again. Mobility, sovereignty. It'll always come back, and history will always repeat itself, and they would always make the same play until you and I decide that that's not what we're doing. The pandemic was what created this mobility, right? Work from home. Look at the Zoom situation. Bro, 20, 30 years ago, we would not be able to do this with technology. We would have to congregate in rooms and create some sort of synergy in person. So imagine how powerful a lot of the leaders are today online in comparison to like a Dr. King or a Malcolm X. What if they had social media with the movement that they had?
Game changer.
But I could tell you with both of them, and they'll tell you they led us into a burning building. When you start to negotiate with terrorists, it will never work. It will never work. All right. Dr. King said it. I led my people into a burning building. This revolution is financial. And this is on all ends. It's countries versus countries, countries versus citizens, citizens versus it's dog eat dog right now. That's what we're entering right now. So if you did the work in 25, you know that this is the year of the horse. Shit, just gallop. You passed this. All right. Some of y'all slowing me up right now. So borderless work equals pre-agriculture mobility. So remote work, borderless businesses, digital nomads, right? This isn't just a lifestyle anymore, guys. People are actually doing this. Okay. It's structural. So remember, I told you before, you need to start understanding some of this terminology. That's the power of words. They use these, they created the word system. And then we just cast spells all day with the shit. We don't even know what they truly mean. They defined it. So when you hear me fumbling words, I may not be that dumb, right? I may not be that dumb. There. Got it. What's next? So you don't need to live where you work. You don't need permission from a local ruler. You don't need a physical proximity to produce value. That scares the system. A system that's based on land based control, that is the biggest fear. You can't control money moving forward.
Mm.
And you can't even really control people from moving to different countries. And you're starting to see it at a high rate. This is why you hear, laws are they're trying, but they won't. Like, oh well, you have to pick. You can't have dual citizenship. You either in the United States or you're out. All right, cool. They are programming people. That's not even a law that could even really pass. And if it did, then you just make a decision at the end of the day. But if you speak to 99.9% of the population right now, they'll tell you that there is no option. I don't have money. I can't do that. Or how do you expect me to do this? Cool. Limiting beliefs. All right. So money is following the same exact pattern in the agricultural societies. Wealth was grain, right? Grain could be seized. Stored food meant stored power. So today, what's the correlation between it? Wealth is digital, it moves instantly, and it can exist outside of borders. So when money stops sitting still, control weakens. So you fucking telling me it's not cryptocurrency that could liberate us and lock us up? I've been on this. This is going on 11 years now. Champ been on this. Let's play dumb if we want to. Two classes of people, useful and useless, or the third class would be not interested. So when money stops sitting still, control weakens. What if we all took our money out the bank? What do you think happened to the banking system in the morning? Smoked. What do you think they could do at that point? Nothing. Checkmate. Now the ball's in their court. What they gonna tell you? It's illegal to hold money. They've done this before with gold when they confiscated it. You don't think they're gonna do the same thing with gold and silver moving forward? The tokenization of hard assets now does what now? It puts the rule and the control in one person's hands that owns that fund. And it allows our lazy asses to say, yeah, we'll let him babysit it or him or her babysit it for us. But you have no physical land, no physical assets. But somehow there's a war on assets right now. Rulers don't fear poverty. You know what their biggest fear is? The exit.
The exit.
That's why I'm in Colombia. That's why I'm gonna be on the continent of Africa. That's why I'm gonna touch this globe next year. They fear the exit. So when you start moving to different countries, you start to get different ideology. You start to get different culture. Not the control culture of America, not the hip hop culture. Like we don't even like what is our culture? So in 26, Skyton is going to create a culture. We've been a culture, but we just need to identify what the culture is. You in or you out. Rulers don't fear poverty, they fear exits. So information is the biggest threat right now. Chapter 3 showed us a few things. Control only worked because information was scarce. Information is of abundance right now. When it's scarce, our parents would say things to us like, we did the best we can with what we had. I don't really buy into that one because that could be said for this generation too. We could be telling our kids this when they're adults. I did the best I can and shit was crazy. Trying to figure it out, stay above water. Was it truly the best? So farmers didn't know alternatives. They didn't know other systems. They didn't know other ways of living. That's why they keep failing. All they can do is farm. So if you don't educate your kids and have them and put them on a track to be able to come back to add to the family business, right? Then we're just doing a disservice. At some point, it ends because most people have no time to learn anything new. Farmer got to be out there all day. Now, today, what's the correlation between today? Knowledge is instant, education is decentralized, and information leaks faster than the law can stop it right now. So that's the equivalent to what? Tearing down the fences around the field. Now we back out, we running. We got the information now. What's the excuse? So when you got guys like Bill Gates, latching on to Sam Altman, that's the second coming of Bill Gates. What's their game plan? To make AI so powerful that the minute that some sort of disinformation that they coded comes on the internet, it can the minute you post it, it's gone. Faster than that Shibu Inu shit. Remember when we were in Atlanta, Georgia, and we kept playing them. Yeah, right? We called those
Uh-huh.
calls and those puts. They were liquidating me before I could even hit send
He couldn't press a button.
at all. So now that the fences are down, we have access to this information. Do you see what they're doing right now? So in Canada, as a online person that is speaking, you have to register as if you're media in Canada.
Wild.
In Europe, you're going to have to get on Google and a lot of platforms. Same thing's going to happen in the United States. They're just waiting to see how people react because we be tripping here. The thing you don't want to do is spook a nation, especially a nation full of guns. So yeah, I better think some of these country dudes that's out here, like, you know what I mean? Like we're actually closer than we think we are. And that
Hmm.
was one of Dr. King's biggest downfalls is when it became the people's movement. That's when it was like, wait a minute. So for as long as you think that me and you got an issue, divide and conquer, it'll always work. And I'm starting to really believe, like, as much as that Israel shit, that's like another kind of thing I had to kind of turn off that noise a little bit because I'm like, it's having an effect on me. So even if they were sending the money there, so what? It's nothing to do with me. Shalom. Do whatever you got to do. So the rulers, when I looked at the chapter and I looked at today, the rulers look familiar, right? So the early rulers, they claim land, they control food, they justified authority through religion and law, and then they framed obedience as order. Even when you a kid, it's always like, yo, respect the teacher. You're gonna get in trouble, or like this is you're putting fear inside of children at a young age. Good thing I didn't listen. Good thing I would never win a spelling bee. Highly indoctrinated, becoming a problem. So today's rulers do what? They claim jurisdiction, they control financial rails, they justify authority through regulation and security, and they frame obedience as safety and compliance. They still using the religion play. They just did that in Nigeria. It's clear as day. Different language, same structure. Once you understand and you get past this chapter, if you can't pivot in life and with the tools that we're about to give you in 26 and figure a way out, then I don't know what else to tell you guys. But this is going to take several months. It's also going to take two times a week to meet, because I don't think once a week is going to be enough. There's going to be some sectors, other sectors that we're going to be touching on, because it's a collective thing. I don't want you to just think it's us against government. No, it's you against yourself. So when surplus grew, rulers didn't loosen control; they tightened it. Right. So they introduced laws, punishment, moral code, social pressure. So today we see the same exact play: more surveillance, more regulation, more reporting, and then more identity systems. And it's not really because the rulers are evil, guys, but it's because the old control model is failing. They're not. They don't see shit as good and evil on that side. So you can't really bring a knife to a gunfight, man. It's just not going to work. All right, this might not be good for you too, but we're gonna get through it. So here's some similarities that I saw. Back then, humans outgrew hunters and gatherer systems. Agriculture locked them down, and then control expanded. Today, humans are outgrowing agricultural era systems. Technology unlocks them, and then control is being challenged again. So we are watching another transition point in history. And this one was what created a government. What do you think this next one's going to create? If that one created a government, what do you think the next super shit that's going to come out of the next system? We got the technology to control everything. When I tell you that things that are digital can be shut on and shut off, even the cryptocurrency. This is why land and agriculture is still an important piece to the puzzle. That's why you go to emerging countries, because you can buy acres for thousands. You think about it, the United States wants to own 90% of all land, the United States government. How? Like, how? So we watch chemical plants blowing up. We've watched food supply places blowing up. Y'all forgot about that. Y'all forgot all the shortages that they created to create higher prices. Oh, y'all didn't see the play. So when the tech food comes out, it's going to be more affordable than real food. Oh, you forgot when they fucked up the waters and the air in certain places in the Midwest, that land is deemed unusable. Oh, we forgot about that. How quick we forget because we so busy. So we're at another transition point. So if the first one created government, what is the second one going to create? And we already have government. How do they stack that card? So now, why money and information won't be controlled long term? All right. So in chapter 3, control only works when value is stationary. That's what it taught me. If value is stationary, it could be controlled. So land doesn't move, food doesn't move easily, and people tied to land don't move at all. We watched it. Katrina, people on top of it. I have nowhere to go. This is my house. Like, people were dying for that for that land. All right. Now, what do we have now? We have digital money moves, information moves, skilled individuals move. You can't fence in a signal. You can't border a fucking idea. They got you looking at the wrong wealth. That game is fixed. On paper, I have to probably be in the top five based on those schematics and that math. I got to be top five in the world. I'm not fixed. I've never been that sort of individual. And I'm not talking about like mobility and where I'm at, just in what I want to do, what I don't want to do. It's only controlled by one thing, and that's Steve deciding whether he wants to do it or not do it. So I have to be one of the biggest threats to that system. And I'm tasked to teach this shit to other people. Okay. So every ruling class in history believed a few things. Understand this. This is what they believe. We believe the contrary, but we don't study history because they taught us their history, right? When you start looking at this history and you start to connect those dots, this is it. Their systems was permanent, right? Their control was necessary, and then their authority was justified. This is what they believe, guys. These are the people you're going up against. And every time, this is what happened. Technology changed that, mobility returned, and control eroded. So, what we're seeing right now is not chaos. What we're watching is another return of mobility. So, if we start using words like the crash, the Great Depression, you're going to identify with that stuff. So, that's why I told you it doesn't matter if it crashes. It's just a light. For some people, it'll feel like a crash. For others, it'll be like, I kind of felt something. And then for some, it'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, how could we have so much room from one side to the other and everything in between? So, you telling me we don't have a choice in the matter? One more time. Their systems were permanent, their control was necessary, and their authority was justified. And this is what happened every single time. Technology changed that, mobility returned, and control eroded. They calling the shit chaos. This is why they sell the news. I'm done. I'm done with like grabbing those narratives. I'm done with the World Economic Forum. I'm done with those guys because if we keep focusing on that, at some point, I'm telling you, the shit had a toll on me. When I first started this, I was not this gray, and it wasn't putting the academy together that was difficult. It was like, what am I? What's happening right now? When you kind of like in your own world in your 20s, they're just having a ball, like you have no clue what is happening. So once you go down the rabbit hole, and I'm the type of person that once I see something, I cannot unsee it. Right? That's just just I'm hardwired like that. So when you look at the chapter 3, that wasn't like ancient history, guys. It was a fucking mirror that we were looking at. It's that chapter 3 shows us what happens when humans are locked down and what happens when they start moving again. That's what the fucking chapter was about. And I'm seeing the same shit happening here. I'm seeing people that can't move. They're like, oh no, I had to scan my eyes. I had to get the digital ID. They told me I couldn't show my pat. Like, why are you asking for permission? If you don't ask, they can't say yes or no. So what happens if we start moving again, guys? You see why they got rid of history? You see why they continue to want to keep rewriting this situation. You see why this next thing that we put out is going to be a book and not something digital that they can just send an AI bot to just mess up all the words. I'm gonna leave you with a couple questions. So, what happens to the ruler when people can leave without permission? All right, write that one down. What happens to the ruler when people can leave without permission? Are we not hearing a border war happening right now? Oh, we don't want these people coming in here. Oh, you can't go there. You see what the United States is creating right now? It's a tit for tat, and these countries are like falling for this shit. The strongest economic countries in the future will allow money and people to move freely. And it may not even be a country, but it can be a city, it could be a town. Because I can tell you that you don't have to really conform to how the system is set up right now. It's not the way that you think it is. Like you can literally own enough to create a town. You can have a zip code. You can have your own power grid, your own structure, your own food supply. Let me tell you how I know. Google campus, Meta campus. Look at all these tech giants. Elon Musk. People are living, working, eating, playing, and doing everything. That's sharecropping. So these are the same tech guys that already have a power hold on our time. Now they coming for the food. So and they're coming for the money. So you got the money, you got the food, and you got the time. What else do you have at that point? If I was to cut all three of those off, what would you be able to do in life? Not a goddamn thing. No sense of time. You don't know if you're coming or going. No money. Shit. Good luck. No food. Ribs touching. Now, what do you resort to? Probably violence, but not the way that you would think, just in a survival way. And then you get locked up. And now you're what? Free of cheap labor. So you freed the slaves, but then you also said that if you don't have a job by the time you were freed, then you would go back to jail and you be slaved again. But it's like you just got out. Like, how long do you think it takes for somebody to get their footing after slavery? So y'all thinking we had it tough? Shit, I'll take this time any day. That assignment then was crazy. So, can a system built on land based control survive a borderless world? So, the first question is what happens to the ruler when people can leave without permission? The second one is can a system built on land based control survive a borderless world? And then the last one is are we becoming modern hunters and gatherers, maybe just digitally? If we kind of rework some of those words, we might be able to get the power back out of them. So I can't identify with digital cages. Like I can't, I'm not going to identify with those things. We'll call it out. We know what it is, but then we have to rewrite. Like, all right, then everybody's asking, what's next, Steve? What's next? That's the number one question. What now? And if I tell you just getting off of Gmail is a fucking task, just that in itself, that's how powerful that company is. And now now I have an appreciation for why they're worth what they're worth. We literally give them everything. Listen, I'm setting up emails. I have to move things. I'm setting up, house bills, business, like everything is just being constructed in the way that I need it to be constructed. None of this data is being sold and traded. Think about the amount of power that we gave that one company, Google. And we go for searches and we take whatever they give us because we feel like the top three things are that's it because based on the algorithm and what they said. No, I'm rewriting that one. So I'm telling you, some of this shit is going to be uncomfortable. You can't search how you normally search. And at the end of the day, you just got to be a thinker. I'm not saying it's not a good source of information. I'm just telling you that how all of a sudden in the past month, I've heard so many people getting hacked on social media. And when you're going to Google to find customer service numbers, the top phone number is a scam. When did Google ever lose that? How are all these breaches happening? I'm going to tell you, it's going to be membership based at this point now. You're going to pay to get on the internet. And when I say pay to get on the internet, not really the World Wide Web, but the controlling powers of the internet. So, what if we got off of YouTube, which is the number one used social media platform in the world today? How much power you think they got? Power to drive culture, power to drive information, power to suppress information, power to push bullshit narratives. That's that's media. So we like, oh, CNN and Fox is dead. They have ownership in YouTube. What are you talking about? They just rocking the old people to sleep now. Nothing against the old people, but that legacy media, then nobody's young is watching that joint. And if you watch it, because Candace might have said something that got you to like, oh, let me check this out. So now we have new media rails now. People like Candace, Maverick, and I'm seeing a lot of y'all trying to do all sorts. Like we've been building with Maverick for a minute now. I'll keep that behind the scenes, but we've been building for a minute with Mav. Things were supposed to transpire and they didn't, and it's going to happen in 2026, like in person situations, tokenization projects. All this has been talked about, like at least for the last year and a half. So if you know me, I'm always the type that's always going out to pull young brothers up from the crypto to say, yo, come, and it's always a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like this competition situation, and I'm over it, guys. It's not going to work. What are we competing against right now? Like to win at that game that those guys are playing, you can't even. It's beyond lapping. We're not even in the same game.
At all.
Like I'm not even playing the game. So you got those three questions, right? Now here's the part, because this is what I get all the time. Well, Steve, what can you do? What can we do? And I'm like, Listen, bro, at the most, I'm giving like a minute to Instagram now, right? Anywhere between a minute and 3 minutes. You can't give proper context in that time. Look how long this shit took. This is damn near a half hour already, right? Fragmented. So when we're in this transitional period, here's the first thing that we can't do. The goal is not to fight the system. We're not doing that. All right. It's just a transitional period, people. It's not an apocalypse. Calm the fuck down. If you hyped up, you can't really. It ain't it. So we're not fighting the system, and it's not an apocalypse. Just remember that. All right. So the goal is to outgrow the dependency on the system. That's it. We have to reframe what survival means. Again, those words. Survival today, to me, doesn't mean stockpiling fear, fear mongering on the internet. It doesn't mean running from society to, wherever else you're going to go. It doesn't mean rejecting everything that's new and modern in technology. All right. That's not what survival is. What you want to do is you want to remove some of those dependencies, and you want to have a little bit more options in your tool bag, right? When you have access to information, you can supersede what somebody just said by pointing out more information as opposed to just consent. Okay. At this point, we're just tired, man. People are just tired. No one has a good fight in them like that no more with all the stuff we got to deal with. So, the most dangerous position in history is being efficient but dependent at the same time. People depend on me, right? Dependency works in different ways, but the efficiency is going to be key. So, that mobility is a big one, guys. And even if you don't move, you still want to be mobile, if you know what I'm saying. All right. So in that chapter 3, what they did was they control work because people were landlocked. So how many people here, drop a one in the chat if you can't leave your job right now to live in another city or another country and still have your job? Just drop a one in the chat if you have to still report the work in that way. Right? This is you're not alone. This is the system. So today, survival means not being stuck, right? Because if that job terminates you or that whole industry goes down, now you have to do what? You have to be educated back in the system again, and then they then tell you what your worth is, and then is there a place for you in society? And that is what makes you happy or sad. So survival today means not being stuck, guys. All right. So here's some action steps. Develop skills that are location independent. Okay. Learn how to earn without a single employer. Okay. Avoid systems where one entity can shut off your income. And think about it. During the pandemic, what did the government do when they stepped in? They had their mandates, and they were telling companies with over 100 employees that if this person who's working from home that didn't go back to the office doesn't get this situation, then they can't work. So government had the ability to do what now? So if everything's going to be mandated by this WHO organization, all they have to do is say it's for public health and safety. Forget religion now. We're just talking about public health and safety. And then we have to follow these mandates. This is signed. This is like damn near every country in the world. So all they have to do is when they start losing grip, because if you think about right before the pandemic, what was happening? People were protesting, young students all over Africa, like the injustice of the world was happening back then. They had to do something to slow that stuff down. It's still coming back. There's no stopping that, right? You've seen a few countries get overthrown. You've seen a few countries like become insolvent, like France, and you're seeing the collapse of these places. You're seeing the rise of independence of West Africa, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Like you're seeing the rise of as codependency is becoming less, you're starting to see what independence actually really looks like. And then you're starting to see how the system in place talks about when you finally get to independence. That's why I say, yo, never cheer for these guys. Yeah, a lot of 11. Yeah, go get them. Never cheer for these guys. If my location changed tomorrow, would my value disappear? If it would, drop a zero in the chat. If your location changed tomorrow, will your value in what you do today for money disappear? Don't put yourself up the street either. Put a zero in the chat. See where we at? It's okay. Diversify how to create income, guys. This is not just about investments. Okay. In the agricultural societies, what happens? Collapse people went into what? One role, laborer. You walked yourself right into a burning building at that point. You got no time to educate yourself. You don't know anything else. They're just taxing you at this point now, physically, mentally taxing you. Today we just have the words. You know, y'all got anxiety and oh, I'm stressed, I'm depressed, and they just built a whole system around that shit. Stop using those words. Stop. I don't even want to hear it around me. Anxiety. Cool. And listen, I'm not saying that there's no problems out here. I'm not trying to, by no means am I like doing whatever, but I'm just telling you that you are, it is what it is, right? Whatever you say is going to be, it's what it's going to be. That's it. Listen, nobody painted a horrible narrative on life more than me in my life. So I'll just admit to it. But I'm moving past that shit now. I got my master teacher in here, Professor D. Yeah, you my master teacher. She never heard that in person. So here's some practical actions. Primary income plus your side income, right? Skill-based income, credential-based income, right? You want the skill base to outweigh that. So the primary income, you want to add that with the side income. The skill-based income, you want that to be greater than the credential-based income. Because what's the government doing right now? What are they doing right now? They're declassifying. To me, I don't even. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if nursing is not a considered a job, and I don't care what they're doing. I'm so unbothered by them, but you need to understand why they're doing what they're doing at this point now. So once they take the power and the ability away from you to earn, mind you, they gave you the credentials for most of these that they're declassifying as like not being jobs anymore for whatever the case is. You can't even make this shit up no more. So if we focus on the fact that it's unfair, then you kind of sit in that shit for a little bit. And you're not going to find yourself in rooms like this because everybody in this room has one thing in common. We started to question certain things, and that's what brought us here. There was something that I said, there was something that Champ said 4 years ago that connected to your ears that created what we have today. You don't need five businesses, guys. You just need more than one door to open. And once we get started on this shit, I'm gonna start breaking a lot of this stuff down to y'all because that's how I'm gonna get back to living again. I used to have so like this internet shit. Tuesday 7 o'clock, 7:30 Wednesday, guaranteed to see me here. When I told you 10 o'clock on Saturday, guaranteed. That's I'm gonna reclaim a lot of my time in 2026, but I'm gonna show up at those times to show up and kind of show you guys. This is the show me state. I'm from the show me state. All right, now we're in implementation mode because for me to teach all day and not be living what I'm saying, and not that it's ever happened, but again, this is kind of taking a lot of time away from working and creating more doors, right? This Skyton was a door. It's not the door. Okay. So if you detach yourself, you need to detach your identity from these institutions. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care what sorority or fraternity you're in. Doesn't matter. Because if the bank collapsed tomorrow, what would your frat do for you? I'll wait. Exactly. Some of the biggest black institutions in the world have no financial stability. They call them the smarts, the ones that are in corporate. They sold us individuality. We got to get back to the village. Got to get back to the village. In the agricultural society, what happened? Identity equal what? Land plus role plus obedience. That was your identity. I keep telling you, you keep identifying yourself by what? Job title, your employer, government status, your credentials. That's a dangerous. That's dangerous, guys. In this transition, that's dumb. It don't matter. Hi, what's your name? What do you do? Second question after your name. They didn't even catch your name. They just want to know if they could latch on to something. I'm a herbalist. I'm a shit. I'm all types of stuff, man. But I don't lead with just one thing. So it's wild to come full circle with this time. That book was given to me by a student on Instagram. Y'all know I don't do books like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not like not in that way. I'm like kind of a I'm like a decoder. Like I can see something and I can feel it and I just go. So my time here is not spent like doing all this stuff. So when I do pick something up, I'm like heavily invested into it. So this book was further um, validation that we're on the right path. And I've been doing this shit since the 80s. I've been wiggling, paper route, uh, ordering poo poo platters at night in college. Those are the big Asian platters, breaking them joints down when people came from partying. I sold individual plates and made money, right? I've been wiggling. I was at an institution. I didn't get any paperwork from it, but I figured out how to make money in the institution and walked out of there with no degree. They call me dumb. I'm looking smart. What's that? What's the thing now?
Yeah, quarter
Three
zip.
3/4 zip. My son wants a 3/4 zip. Bro, you go to a Catholic private school. You all you've had was 3/4 zips.
Facts.
Private school, quarter zips, matchas. So, um, I've been smart. I've been mobile. I've been moving. So when I look back at that role and that task of doing everything for myself, I don't regret any of it. Right? Not being able to build a team and you know and getting scale things to I'm just like, yo, it prepared me for this moment here. Right? To pick up enough tools to be able to number one tool is really just not reading into a system. I was even when I didn't have the words, I was like, yo, this ain't it. I had the feeling. So I've seen this from a bird's eye view. This ain't up for debate, guys. I didn't wake up one day and say, yeah, I want to be on the internet. And then, oh yeah, matter of fact, yeah, I want to start a class and teach people. And oh yeah, matter of fact, while I'm there, let me just go to Columbia and pick up a whole resort. Like that's part of me moving. I've always been doing this. Now I got the community, right? Finally got the community. It didn't have to look the way that it was being presented to me. If you don't have employees, this office CEO, that one, hire you know that Fortune 500 mentality that you have, you never look at your business as successful, even in an exit that didn't net me anything. Every single one of them. There was nothing I ever sold to make money, in the sense of like a business that I started. Real estate, that got me some shit, but that's the model. But there's no promises when you're starting a business from scratch. And I'm so dumb that I've been doing this my whole damn life. Like literally going from something to zero, back to something to zero, having a wife, something to zero, kids, something to zero, build, like keep building this shit like this. What? There's no way, one, I haven't been winning, but two, there's no way that my legacy would end on an apocalypse. Fuck out of here. That's just crazy to me. That's just ridiculous. That's not in my card. So if y'all stick close, y'all gonna be all right. I'm just telling you that now. I had an issue with being in a leadership role. I no longer have that issue now, right? Because I got to draw the line in the sand. I keep trying to give, respect and it's close and maybe no, I got this shit. It's not stocks, it's not bonds, it's not gold, it's not silver. I'm telling you, y'all need to fix your mindsets because all of it in history, they've confiscated every single one of those assets that I named. So now we're going into a digital realm. How many people got smoked in cryptocurrency already since the inception of it? Every day I open this cold storage wallet, I'm fiddling, I'm like holding my breath. That is not a way to live. That shit is nerve wracking. But you want to run your own bank. What did Champ and I do? We presented an option for 4 years to be able to do what? Walk people off that goddamn ledge. Start putting responsibility back in your hands again. That's the first thing we did. We led with security. Not your keys, not your cheese. That was one of the basic premise when it was Skype and Crypto University. So me not even knowing back then that we were already building the breaking off of the dependency of the old system without even really fully understanding it. Now we come full circle now. Now it's on. This is by far the most pivotal year, right? You're going to see every war and you're definitely going to see financial crisis all in the same year at the same time. People are going to be scrambling. People are going to want this information. People are going to be late. People's belief systems aren't going to be fixed correctly. That's what's going to fuck a lot of people up. The inability to question something that's happening when you're under duress. I got no job. The mortgage is due. Oh my God, gas is $10. That part. So know who you are without external validation. That's the first thing I'm gonna give y'all. I don't care what anybody on this call does. Anybody listening on, I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care how well or how, it doesn't matter. We going out the same exact way. So what you gonna leave behind? Grandpa was a AK 47. Like, what are you gonna leave behind? I'm not taking nothing away from those institutions. I'm just telling you that they're old and they got to be retooled. But I can tell you why the reason that they never change is because they don't really have ownership in it. Yeah, they were giving dog food. They still got an opportunity, but at that point, you'd have to bite the hand that feeds you. So why is funding? Why are people still looking for funding? They're defunding everything. Why are you still looking for funding at this point now? Is this guy not the best guy for the moment? Somebody got to hit the reset button on shit. Clearly, they want to take it back to like super slavery. I'm cool with that. That's easier for me to understand than somebody laughing in my face and making it sound different than what it is. White people should no longer be ashamed of being white. I can't unhear that one. That's the next president of the United States, JD Vance. That's not a bird call. Shamed of being white. Like how much easier could it have gotten? Maybe I missed something. Did I miss the episode that put it all together? All right. So listen, y'all, you guys don't have to be ashamed to be white anymore. That don't sound like a transition to you? Okay. Know who you are without external validation. Build reputation in networks, not hierarchies. This is a network here. This is not a hierarchy. Yes, we set some ground rules and stuff like that, but we listen. If y'all want to have a public or a private meeting, by all means. Steve would never say, "Yo, don't." Now, if you want to take members and start a membership, then we'll have a conversation. But I can't stop you from doing that. Have at it, right? So build your reputation within networks. Don't outsource your self worth to a system that can disappear overnight. If every system's on borrowed time and you're outsourcing yourself on borrowed time, what now? Now we forced to grow up. Some of us. Increase your information literacy, not just any old information, guys. And I'm not telling you I'm the guy or Champ's the guy. I'm just telling you that you got to limit some shit because I'm seeing too many people on too many different platforms and like the ideologies don't really line up. What we're doing is an overarching situation now. This is not in competition with anything that anybody else has out here. The I don't care about the financial realm of stocks, bonds, and what all those guys do with trading and trucking. I don't care about any of that stuff because it is on borrowed time. So I'm looking at the bridge that is being built, and I'm building a byway based on that. So again, it's not for us to get out the system completely. It's for us to understand how to use what benefits us and how to slide when it doesn't. So when the party's over, just know when to leave. I'm from the show me state. I don't listen to words like that. So survival isn't about consuming more information, it's about filtering better information. Follow some better people. It all sounds great, but what's the end result, guys? You want to make more money? The money's declining. Here's some action steps. Learn how narratives are framed. Ask yourself who benefits if I believe this. That's a good one, guys. If you just ask yourself who benefits and you start to follow that shit,
Mm.
it's the pharmaceutical was the one that ran the fucking commercial. They paid for the whole thing. Like, who would benefit? And then what are we doing? We're putting shorts, we're putting longs on pharmaceutical. Like, we're buying into the narrative and the system, and they gamified us. So biting the hand that feeds you is like, that's the easiest thing to do. You see it, you bite it, but biting your face is wild. I've never met somebody that's done it without like physically pulling pieces of it off. Imagine everybody walking around trying to bite their face. How wild would this place look? Yeah, laughing, but listen, that's how it looks every day to me. Like people out here upset. We go to a restaurant, we like, man, let's hurry up and get back home, man. It's gotten bad. It's gotten bad. And you can make it what you want to make it, but I'm telling you, that home, that village, that community, that network, that's the shit that we're looking forward to. First quarter, we got a live in person, not in Colombia, in the United States. We meeting in March. Dropped it early. That's just so I can hold myself to it too. So learn how narratives are framed. Ask yourself who benefits and if I believe this. Avoid emotional decision making loops. Okay. And then balance skepticism with grounding. The calm mind survives over the reactive any day. I used to think sitting still was like laziness. Like I ain't gonna hold you. All that stuff that's going on right now, the changes in my life with speaking to the universe and what you like, I was fighting through this shit, man. Straight Capricorn. Like we on the edge. Fuck that. Getting this money. Now I'm a firm believer in it. And I told you when I see something, I can't unsee it. So if I'm talking about it, that means that this shit is working. It's working even when I'm not asking it to work. And I haven't even mastered the asking out loud part. Like my wife has been putting me onto this shit. So she was definitely tasked with getting this shit together. Like, what? Sit still. They tripping. Literally sit still. My mind started to like calm, and then once I got into nature, then everything is told me. Every question you have in some way, and it doesn't come in the form of ask because I never ask. it would just come in the form of a vision for me, and then I go. The calm mind is going to survive any day, any error. I don't care if it's agriculture. The one thing that we have in common with every single one of these patterns that I've studied in history is we're at the transition point right now. You got the first time that the world reserve currency is about to depeg and change. You got a fight for borders. You got to fight for land. You got to fight for minerals. They are fighting over everything. We didn't even up until 2 years ago with the last administration, we were arguing about if this was a male or a female, and y'all was bugging. Right? It's no longer like black and white would be so simple right now. Look how much more shit they added since the race war. I'm like, man, take me back to that. I could talk a racist off the ledge. Like, bro, sit down, man. Stop being dumb. Like, look, we everything is an argument. It's LeBron, it's Kobe. Like, this is the culture of America. And now you got all these opinions. It's Bitcoin, it's XR. So what? You see what the fuck we building on this side? I don't talk about it all the time online. You got to be a member. You know what I'm saying? Here's the priority, guys. Make health a non negotiable this year. If I tell you the amount of 40s and 50s that have passed, if I tell you the amount of 40s and 50s that have had rapid cancer, if I tell you the amount of just like shit that's happening right now in the world and it's getting worse and worse, and the stats are showing you, and they're telling you that this right here caused autism and nobody is burning this shit down, what the fuck? And it's no liability. You know why? They've mastered psychology. Parents are just sitting in guilt right now. People in general are just sitting in guilt. You got to let that shit go. Them motherfuckers wasn't playing nice. You know what I'm saying? There was no informed consent. They was just pressing those buttons. And for some people, it was a cheeseburger. For some, it might have been a couple $100. For some, it was like, man, listen, I need this thing right now. And then for others, it was like, I'll die on this.
Mm.
I'll die on the next one. Not. Y'all know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
And if I have to, then that's just it. Never on
Mm.
my knees.
Straight up.
So agriculture controlled. This is the health part, right? Agriculture, and when I say agriculture, this is the job that you do today. Each one of us are, we are picking cotton for sure, right? So you're tired. They were underfed out there. They were dependent. It's just exhaustion all day. So today, the burnout is just like a modern version of that situation. So what you need to prioritize is sleep, um, getting stronger, strengthening the body, reduce inflammation in the body. That's through food, stress, and definitely this chaos they put on top of us, guys. That Sebi situation is the real deal, and I haven't dug into that man's story fully yet, but the one part that I hear from him that I know for certain conclusively is inflammation is mucus. It's all the same thing. It's not as difficult as they make it seem. Everything we need is in nature. Their recipes are based on nature's gift. Every single one of them. The first thing they said when they let off the pandemic was what? Stay indoors. Check your vitamin D levels, guys, especially in the wintertime. They're able to control how much time we spend inside and outside. And they for damn sure control the weather now. So you can wake up with no roof. And now they're like, they don't have to broadcast the weather anymore. So all these hurricanes and stuff that they used to track, they clip those systems. Now, understand this. Remember I told you that weather deep in project, it's time to probably get back into that situation. Because
Hmm.
if you don't know when the weather is coming because the government won't give it, if the government won't even give their financial numbers or job report numbers, you see where they going with this shit? All right, so now we got no information and no data. We got one or two things we could do. We could wait to get up hit upside the head with something, or we can just start to like figure out ways to get the information and know how to move and just keep pivoting. If you have a weather antenna right now and you start to put out that sort of data to people, it will be the difference between somebody living and somebody dying. So now these guys, because they can control weather at any point, people are starting to pick up on this stuff through technology. They have to now suppress the information. When you start to see suppression, they on a last leg. And ask yourself who benefits from not having that information. If you ask yourself who benefits, you'll start to think a little bit better in the new year. So build small but real relationships, not massive audiences, guys. All right. I got a lot of people coming, personal page now. Things are starting to shift and change. Like I'm still in control of this narrative. All right. I can go dark. I can switch up the tone. Um, yeah, whatever I feel. So survival today is local trust with global access. I got people I can trust here. If I had to go somewhere like your champ, boom, he got me.
Too easy.
Right? And I could be on a continent, he's handling business here, and vice versa. Wherever he need to go, boom, we got it. That's the mobility. So build local trust and then add global access to this, guys. I am your global access specialist. I'm not co-signing nobody else, even if I bought them on the platform. I'm just telling you that. And I'm not saying that you can't work. That's not a dig for the people on the platform. What I'm telling you is global access is deeper than just getting to a place. That's the pretty picture. We're talking about the connecting of that dot prior to moving with intention, right? Get a small circle you can rely on, um, share skills within the community, and then mutual support, not a savior dynamic, guys. So when I say shared skills, when we have this thing in PA, I got a group of people that I'm gonna bring on that's never been on the academy before, sharing in what they know, and some will probably you hopefully Nas and you know we'll get the people back out. Now, you don't need to know everybody, guys. All right. You don't need to be alone either. So this is going back to that independent situation where we find ourselves by ourselves, can't make decisions, codependent on systems, convenience, control, all that costs money. We're overworking as opposed to just asking. My son, kind of basketball, and my wife and I might have you know, the few times we have a schedule conflict, we could always call on somebody. She'll go to Uber for like, yeah, Uber. And I'm like, no, we got a village and there's people waiting to just help us. Like, oh man, all the food and the way you treat us, you open your home to us. Like, that's the least we can do. Uber, that's like money out of our pockets into somebody else's system on top of like shit. Now we got to like watch it because our prized possession is inside of it, as opposed to somebody that we know we can trust. Village doesn't have to look like the old village, right? This is a village, 90 people. So you got to keep one foot inside the system, guys, and one foot outside. If you take anything from tonight, it's that one right there. Stop believing that you could exit this thing. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just telling you that it may not be that fun. All right. If you're still into playing. Um, this part is critical. All right. So the biggest mistake you can make is total compliance or total rejection. That's the biggest mistake you can make in this one. All right, because that rejection can get you locked up unjust too. Right? It can have your ability to earn and everything can be cut off. They don't have to go through the courts anymore. So some of the actions that we can do is use the system where it benefits us or you, right? Don't depend on it when it controls you. So you know the difference between you coming up for something and when it's actually controlling you. Um, Stay legally clean, guys. That's the key. And then you got to be mentally sovereign. I don't know what they selling on the internet, but I'm just telling you that that shit is on borrowed time. Transition feels chaotic up close. Fall back a little bit. All right. Stay aware, but just don't get so close to it. All right. Historically, this is the pattern that they follow. This is always the pattern. Old systems tighten, new systems emerge. Um, Individuals adapt first, institutions adapt last. So we got a chance to rewrite our own history and our future. Institutions adapt last. Did we not get into crypto before those guys?
Undoubtedly.
So for everybody that's waiting to get inside of cryptocurrency, that means you're last. You won't know how it works. You keep thinking it's about money and it's not. This has everything to do with the controls that are going to be put in place because it's the first time that money could not only be programmable to benefit whoever is going to be programming that, but it's also a time in history where you could actually shut off access immediately, either through a data breach, um, through whatever means. They could tell us it's a data breach and you stuck.
Hmm.
Now what you got? I saw a video today. The guy had it was silver, 10 ounces of silver, or he had a bunch of Hershey
Hershey candy
chocolate
bar.
bar and Hershey chocolate on top of that. Tripping. That chocolate is not from the continent. But everybody chose the chocolate bar. And we've been giving you silver since that thing was I don't know how much.
13 bucks. It is now 80 bucks. 70, I think 79 as of yesterday.
We did precious metals over 2.5 years ago. Cool. We did cryptocurrency over 11 years ago. This digital sovereignty thing I'm telling you about, this is not one of those you wait till 2030 for it to change. This is like something that's life changing now.
Hmm.
I'm not here to sell you on a membership. Cancel it, but there's going to be work. And either way you look at it, every half step that you make in 2026 is one step closer to that system going live and you not knowing what to do. Because the one thing that I won't do is you won't see these long, drawn out conversations anymore because they'll be in the past tense. What you would be seeing is forward movement and progress. So when you say that I changed, you're right. I did. Short term stability, mid-term flexibility, and long-term independence. That's how we're playing the three stages of things. Okay. Short-term stability, mid-term flexibility, long-term independence. You got to think long. All right. They've always punished panic every time. The only two things that could be rewarded is patience and preparation. It's the only two things that could be rewarded. This is one of the most important ones, guys. Teach the next generation differently. This is where long-term survival really lives. Because if this conversation stops here with our old asses, it could go away soon. And old with love, guys, just wisdom. You have to teach the next generation. They even got us fighting with those guys. I'm like, I don't care about NBA YoungBoy or Nas. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? To each its own. It's a culture. Have at it. There's no comparison. That's what causes divide in everything. Then we can't even talk. So agricultural societies survive by training obedience. The future, where we're at now, requires critical thinking, adaptability, emotional regulation. That's important, fellas, and skill learning. All right. You teach kids that, and then you teach adults the same shit. I don't care if these people don't want to hear it. Put it out there in the atmosphere. It'll come back. Trust me, they'll know who to call. You are not here to fit inside a fucking system. You are here just to navigate that shit. That's it. Johnny sit on a circle. Johnny's hyperactive. Johnny got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, elemental P. Like, this dumbass game they playing, man. And we got to have meaning and purpose. All right. So the most controlled people in history were fearful, isolated, and reactive.
Reactive,
The
yeah.
least controlled were grounded, skilled, connected, fucking calm. And I'm entering that control situation. I've always been like in control of a lot of things, a little bit of a control freak at times, but this type of control here over that system, that's it. There's no Forbes list. I don't care about no accolades. I don't want 100, two. I don't care about none of that. It's going to be what it is. What I get is going to be based on what I put out. So if I want to chill, I'm going to chill. If I want to go hard, I'm going to go hard. All right. So this is what is going to stabilize the structure that we're building right here. So what we just talked about right here was the core principle, survival principles of the academy. All right. And not survival in the like tactical shit, guys. This is going to be real easy. You're going to realize how like people are like, damn, I'm that dumb. I'm like, nah, we were all falling for it. So systems fail when people become too dependent on them, and individuals survive when they remain adaptable. So think about it. We are coming up on the most dependent system known to man. And if systems always fail when it's too much dependency, come on, man. These guys, they always need Batman's gonna need Robin. They're gonna need the Joker. Like the movie stops if there's no fucking freedom fighters out here. It wouldn't even be fun. So keep your religion and your belief and stuff like that. But guys, just some of the ideology, just we ain't gotta go there with that. You know what I mean? There's no amount of rosary bead prayers that's gonna like help this one out, man. I just gotta say it. I've watched the entire country that my lineage is from like pray their way to like some bullshit. I'm like, guys, this ain't like I'm the black sheep of that. I get inside the group chat on WhatsApp, I drop and they like, yo, I'm out. Like I'm that guy. And I've only done it once to them. And I know the audience there. So I'm just telling you that start asking yourself whose benefits off of whether or not you believe that. She told me to wrap that thing up. All right, so we wrapping it up. I'm here for the outro.
All right, let me pin up, man. You smoke this. Listen, for those of you who don't have the book, I'll drop the link for y'all again, but you got it. You have to get this book. This was chapter 3 that we just ran over. So I'm gonna drop that for y'all on YouTube and here. And you're getting a lot of love on the YouTube side too, bro.
I just had something to
Appreciate
say
you.
tonight. That's all, man. Nothing too crazy. And listen, I've been sitting still and calm too.
Mhm.
I'm keeping things a little bit light on Instagram. I'm you know, the quieter I keep it, the heavier these type of things come in. So tomorrow we're done. New Year's, well, that New Year's at the flip of 2026, the first week back, we end. I'm gonna throw
Mhm.
some Saturdays on the schedule. Moving forward, we're gonna ramp up. Everything is gonna be pre-recorded, so I don't worry about missing something. It's all gonna flow together. Digital sovereignty starts. We've been started, but officially 2026. The app is about to drop. The pre-orders are about to come in for the workbook. But you in your membership, you have a there's a whole platform that we're doing just solely on digital sovereignty. So we're going to be giving you guys information, sharing of stuff, and it's going to be way more organized. And then there's going to be actionable steps. So as you know, we're moving and cleaning up and putting things back on hard drives, having physical assets, your pictures, your photos, physical prints. Like you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. What would be the value of that if it disappeared? Um, I'm all gas first quarter, and part of it will be out in Colombia too. So you're gonna get two things going on at the same time. All right. Now I'm gonna start talking about the project in Colombia. I'm ready for that. Top of 2026. You'll understand what it takes to navigate a country that does everything similar but very different. A country where I don't even understand a word. And not even so much the words, I don't understand the culture of how they do business. So I'm gonna start giving you the real insight to it. I'm not out there vacationing and sitting on the beach and waking up every morning like no, I'm like racking my brain in this calm nature that I'm in. So it's these changes in this universe situation. There's no way I would have been able to do this in this present moment in that country the way that I'm navigating it now. Impossible. I would have took the first flight smoking back home. I had to be the most patient person in the world who started as the most impatient person early on. Take me out.
Let's get it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is content and context. The first thing we got to be extremely clear about is the goal is not to fight the system. This is not collapse porn. This is not fear mongering. This is not an apocalypse. This is one thing: transition. And in every transition, the smartest move isn't just resistance, it's outgrowing dependency. Survival today doesn't mean stockpiling fear. It doesn't mean running from society. It doesn't mean isolating yourself. Steve put up a post about this. You know what I mean? We need the collective. Steel has to sharpen steel, but in order for that to happen, everybody has to be a blade. It doesn't mean rejecting technology or pretending that we can go backwards. Survival now means not being stuck. The most dangerous position in history is being highly efficient but completely dependent on one employer, one location, one system that could easily shut you off. And that's what chapter 3 was truly showing us. Control worked because people were landlocked, they were fixed. The work was fixed, the value was fixed, it was stationary. Today, survival means making sure that your job ends, but your value doesn't. If your industry goes away today, your income doesn't. If you change your location, you still matter. Mobility. That's the one thing Steve brought to the table that has always resonated with me. It's the ability to be able to move. And when you have access to information, skills, options, people, a community, you don't beg for any kind of permission whatsoever. You don't need to blindly consent. That's why we're taking our time with this. We gave you 1, 2, and 3 so far, and there's more chapters to come. There's more offerings to come. The resolves are all here, but it's going to take time. It's going to take months. The work is going to take months. That's why meeting once a week ain't going to be enough. This isn't us versus the government. This is you versus dependency. So I'm going to double down on one of the questions Steve presented. If your location changed tomorrow, would your value disappear? Because history is shifting once again. We're on the brink of a new transition. And it's fitting because today is the day before New Year's Eve. The people who make it through this next shift, this next transition, aren't going to be the loudest or the angriest. The people revolting is going to be the ones who just know they aren't trapped and they know how to operate and move. All right. So with that being said, I hope this talk resonated with you. I hope everything that we've been building over this past year, over these past 4 years, has been resonating with you. and it's been preparing you guys for this very moment. There's no greater time than the present right now. I love y'all. Steve, love you, brother.
No, you already know.
Today, day 30, mental detox. Shout out to everybody who's been rocking.
One
And
one one last thing though, guys. So,
mhm,
and I should have weaved this in, but part of the having options for doors is exactly what I'm doing. So somebody put the children's book is I just got it back in the sense of like closing out some old business I had with somebody. So the children's book top of the year, the reprogramming the modern human
mhm,
operating system that's top of the year also. Everything that is created in the academy is going to have some sort of shared revenue. And even if you're just a part of it and not part of the investment, just hearing this stuff and right until things are certain things might change. The value also is remember I told you skill based. So we're going to start to need certain people in certain aspects, whether it be design or copywriting or event planning, like whatever skill that you have, I wouldn't be living my truth if I didn't offer opportunity in house, right? So whether you it's time in exchange for that, or it's a resource, or it's even supporting any one of those books. The book's coming out. There's going to be a series of books. Um, we get to write, and the reason I'm happier about the children's book now, and I didn't have this in perspective before, was it's powerful if we can write them correctly. You know what I'm saying? If we can make that message land in a simple to follow way, this goes back to one of the core principles of making sure you teach the younger generation. No one is writing about AI for children. No one is warning these parents on the dangers of this stuff for kids. No one is touching the cryptocurrency or the digital finance. If we found a way to put a collection of stuff that we do that mirrors this situation, you have the opportunity to shape a young mind. And even in
mhm.
letting them know about sovereignty and understanding the circle is not really the circle, it's not a boundary, right? It's just a rule. I don't know if the schools are like that, but that institution's got to go too. So they just defunded that whole situation. So they're really defunding education now, and we'll
Mhm.
put a period on that. That's what it's coming down to, guys. Everything that you've known of society is not anymore. So now you just got to figure things out for yourself, and that's how they get back to control at the end of the day. I didn't come here to be a farmer, not in that way,
Mhm.
not for them. See you in 2026, bro.
Let's get it. You
Love.
know the vibes. Love.